The title is a lie. Claudia doesn't drop out of school. She just gets held back a year. It would be interesting if she dropped out of school for a week or so, right?
Argofunk Book Review, Argofunk Book Review.
This book was written by Ellen Miles. Claudia is struggling with school this year, particularly math. Like, what even is a protractor? It's shaped like a rainbow, but it's not fun like rainbows. All they do is trick unsuspecting art students into thinking there will be fun drawing time. That just protracts the suffering. Claudia's main problem is that she forgot everything she learned in math last year as soon as the test was over. She's failing all of her other classes too, which makes no sense because this is the 9th time she's gone through 8th grade. She did just fine the other 8 times. Why is it suddenly so much harder this time around? Continuity! Claudia's friends like school. They actually enjoy having more homework than ever before. The weirdos. In the subplot, Christy visits Jackie Rodowski in the hospital. All the kids there are super bored. Christy comes up with a program called Hospital Buddies, where kids can write letters to kids in the hospital. It sounds a lot like the kids group from Book 48. Abby uses the letter writing initiative to distract the Wild Pike kids, because they would much rather write letters to total strangers than make costumes for Halloween. A famous artist named Serena McKay is teaching a class at the local community college. Claudia's the narrator, so of course, she gets into this super exclusive class designed for adults. This happens the same day she fails a big math test. Her parents agree she could take the art class as long as she gets a tutor. Claudia's tutor is Janine's friend Rosa. She explains the problem with Claudia's study habits. Namely, she doesn't have study habits. Rosa helps explain math in a way that actually makes sense. Everything seems great! Until a few hours later, when Claudia can't remember anything. It's starting to sound like Claudia has memory problems. There's a somewhat weird scene. Claudia worries her friends will figure out she's failing school. I don't know why, they haven't noticed so far. Why would they suddenly start talking about it in the middle of a babysitters club meeting? Claudia tries distracting them with a fake nose ring. It's a weird distraction, which doesn't work. They instantly realize there's a problem if Claudia's pulling a nose ring distraction. It sounds like Claudia's done stuff like this fake nose ring trick in the past. Claudia's schoolwork improves slightly, but not enough. The school is forced to take drastic measures. Assistant Principal Kingbridge invites Claudia's family to his office and says she's being sent back to 7th grade. Claudia hates 7th grade. Everyone looks super young and immature. She feels like an alien who doesn't belong. She stumbles through her day in a blur, and no one sits with her at lunch. It's miserable. The next chapter, Claudia says 7th grade is the best, and she loves it. Wow, she sure changed her mind quickly. Let's face it, Claudia is obviously the coolest kid in 7th grade. All the girls copy her fashion choices, and all the guys have crushes on her. Everyone wants to sit with her at lunch, and she has an entourage when she walks down the halls. She's the star student in all of her classes. Jackie returns from the hospital. Jackie's nicknamed the Walking Disaster, so it's funny when there are several accidents at his welcome home party. At Jackie's prompting, the BSC decides to throw a Halloween party for the hospital kids. Claudia's life is ruined when she discovers the middle school's Halloween dance is for 8th graders only. Please note, this makes no sense. There have been at least 10 school dances in this series so far. Some of them Halloween dances. None of those were grade restricted, but this one is, so there can be drama. Claudia feels terrible. She starts being nasty to everyone, and she can't bring herself to care about school anymore. She complains a lot, especially about how immature 6th and 7th graders are. Mallory and Jesse try to cheer Claudia up. They invite her to show off her art skills in a pumpkin carving competition. She insults them for being younger than her.
"Oh, please," I said. "Who cares if a bunch of little brats are impressed by me?"
The Babysitters Club! The best friends you'll ever have. Claudia has sour grapes and complains she didn't want to go to the dance anyway. She has the worst Halloween ever, trick-or-treating with little kids. Claudia's friends call the next day to try to make her feel better. Claudia is so upset she doesn't listen. All she does is stay home and sulk. She has to go to the art show, though. Claudia won first place, despite being the youngest person in the class. She's surprised to learn her hero Serena was held back twice. Claudia decides if Serena can handle repeating a grade, so can she. Claudia also realizes her friends are super supportive and helpful. She quickly makes a costume and goes to the BSC's hospital party. She has the best Halloween ever, trick-or-treating with little kids. The end. Post-book follow-up. I thought this book was average. It has some good emotional beats, but it's a lot of Claudia sulking and complaining about her life, which isn't fun to see. The single chapter where she suddenly loves 7th grade felt a bit out of place amid all the complaint chapters. Claudia will love 7th grade in her next book, and her book after that... Oh, you've got to be kidding me. She gets the choice to go back to 8th grade. The entire 7th grade thing is a fake out. Ugh. I think this book held off on the main storyline for a bit too long. It would have been more effective to have her get sent back a chapter sooner, especially since the title and back cover give away the story's main plot. On the other hand, the book does a good job of slowly setting up the story so it makes perfect sense when Claudia is held back. It feels like the natural result of everything that came before it. At least I thought it felt natural. This book got a lot of criticism for the plot. The school sends her back 1 month into 7th grade? How cruel is that? Do schools actually do that in real life? As far as I can tell, no, they don't. They shouldn't have let her move on to 8th grade if she wasn't ready for it. And they shouldn't have made the decision to drop her back without consulting her parents first. That's just asking for a disaster. I'll repeat what I said about Christie's worst idea. Overall, I think the book does a decent job with a bad premise. Sending her back a grade is dramatic. It ends up being a giant pity fest with a generic happy ending about liking your friends, which is nice, but doesn't really address Claudia's problems. Her friends were never the problem in this book, so pretending they're the solution doesn't quite work. I give Babysitters Club number 101, Middle School Dropout, a 5 out of 10.